Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, to whoever saw my video and my very respectful lecturer, Ma'am Anissa Astrid. My name is Shajihan Krotul Ain and I'm from English Education Study Program Win Raden Fata Palembang with students ID 23041100044, and the title of my research proposal is the correlation among students writing self-regulation, writing motivation, and writing achievement in 9th grade student of MTSN 2 Palembang. In this presentation, I will explain the background of the study, research problem, objectives, methodology, and the significance of this study. Background of the study. Writing is one of the most important productive skills in English. Through writing, students are expected to express their ideas, opinions, information in clear and organized manner. However, writing is often considered one of the most difficult language skills because students must pay attention to several aspects such as content, organization, vocabulary, and grammar. In reality, many students still experience difficulties in writing. They often have problems generating ideas, organizing paragraphs, and choosing appropriate vocabulary and using correct grammar. Besides linguistic difficulties, students' writing achievement may also be influenced by internal factors. Two important internal factors are writing self-regulation and writing motivation. Writing self-regulation here refers to students' ability to plan, monitor, and evaluate their writing process, while writing motivation refers to students' interest, confidence, and willingness to engage in writing activities. Students who have good regulation and high motivation are expected to perform better in writing tasks based on rationale. The researchers is interest in investigating the correlation among self-regulation, writing motivation, and writing achievement. The research problem here, there are three. 1. Is there a significant correlation between writing self-regulation and writing achievement? 2. Is there a significant correlation between writing motivation and writing achievement? 3. Is there a significant correlation among writing self-regulation, writing motivation, and writing achievement? Research objective. There are three research objectives in here. 1. To determine the correlation between writing self-regulation and writing achievement. 2. To determine the correlation between writing motivation and writing achievement. And 3. To determine the simultaneous correlation among the three variables. Research variables. This study involves three variables. The first independent variable, or X, 1 is writing self-regulation, and the second independent variable, or X2, is writing motivation, and the dependent variable, or Y, is writing achievement. Writing regulation and writing motivation are categorized as independent variable because they are assumed to influence students' writing achievement. And writing achievement is the dependent variable because it represents the outcome measured in the study. The conceptual framework of this study is based on the assumption that students who can regulate their learning effectively tend to perform better in writing tasks. The students are able to set goals, organize their ideas, monitor their progress, and revise their writing. At the same time, students who have strong writing motivation are enthusiastic and persistent in completing writing tasks. They are more willing to invest time and effort to improve their writing. When students possess both high regulation and strong motivation, they are expected to achieve better writing performance. Therefore, the study assumed that writing self-regulation and writing motivation have positive relationship with writing achievement, both individually and simultaneously. Hypothesis. The hypotheses of this study are as follows. The null hypothesis, or HO, states that There is no significant correlation among students writing self-regulation and writing motivation and writing achievement. The alternative hypothesis, or HA, states that there is a significant correlation among students writing self-regulation and writing motivation and writing achievement. Research design. This study employs a quantitative research method with a correlation design. Quantitative research is used because data are collected in numerical form and analyzed statistically. A correlation design is appropriate because of the purpose of the study is to determine the degree of relationship among variables. In the study, the researcher does not provide any treatment or intervention. Instead, the researchers measure the existing levels of writing self-regulation, writing motivation, and writing achievement, and then analyze the relationships among them. This study will be conducted at MTSN 1 Palembang and MTSN 2 Palembang, South Sumatra, in the academic year 2005 and 2006. These schools are selected because they are Islamic junior high school that implement similar English curricula and students with relatively comparable background in learning English as a foreign language. The population of this study consists of all 9th grade students from both schools. Based on the proposal, the total population is 630 students. This number includes around 300 students from MTSN 2 Palembang and 330 students from MTSN 2 Palembang. Because the population is relatively large and homogeneous, the researchers use simple random sampling. This sampling technique gives every class an equal opportunity to be selected and as the sample. The researchers also selected 2 classes from MTSN 1 Palembang and 2 classes from MTSN 2 Palembang. Each class consists approximately 30 students. Therefore, the total sample of the study is approximately 120 students. An instrument that the researchers use in here is the first instrument is a writing self-regulation questionnaire. This questionnaire is used to measure students' ability to regulate their writing process. It includes indicators such as goal setting, planning, self-monitoring, self-instruction, and self-evaluation. Through this questionnaire, the researcher can identify how well students manage their writing activities independently. The second instrument is writing motivation questionnaire. This questionnaire is used to measure students' motivation toward writing. It includes aspects such as students' interest in writing, self-confidence, persistence, and willingness to complete writing tasks. And the third instrument is writing tasks. In this task, students are asked to write a procedural text. This type of text is selected because procedural text is one of the genres taught to 9th grade students. And the students' writing will be scored using an analytic scoring rubric adapted by H. Douglas Brown. By these 3 instruments, the researcher expects to obtain comprehensive and data about students' writing self-regulation, writing motivation, and writing achievement. Validity and reliability. Before the instruments are administered to the participant, the researcher must ensure that they are valid and reliable. The validity refers to the extent to which an instrument measures what is intended to measure. In this study, the researchers use content validity. The questionnaire and writing tests will be consulted with expert validators, particularly the research advisors and an English lecturer, to evaluate whether the items are relevant to the indicator of which variable. After the instruments are declared valid, the researcher will test the reliability. Reliability refers to the consistency of the instrument in measuring the variables. The reliability of the writing self-regulation questionnaire and the writing motivation questionnaire will be analyzed using IB Kornberg alpha through the IBPM SPSS statistic. If the reliability coefficient is 0.70 or higher, the instrument will be considered reliable. For the writing test, the researcher will use analytical scoring rubric covering content, organizing, vocabulary, grammar, and mechanics. Through validity and reliability, the researcher expects that all instruments are appropriate and dependable for collecting the data. Data collection techniques. The data collection process will be conducted in several steps. First, researchers will ask permission from the headmaster of MTS N1 Palembang and MTS N2 Palembang and coordinate with the English teacher to determine the data, to collecting the data. Second, the researcher will explain the purpose of the study and the instruction for completing the questionnaires and writing tests to the students. Third, the researcher will distribute the writing self-regulation questionnaire to measure students' ability to plan, monitor, and evaluate the writing process. Fourth, the researcher will distribute the writing motivation questionnaire to measure students' interest, confidence, and persistent writing activities. After the students complete both questionnaire and researchers will administer the writing test. In this test, the student will be asked to write a procedural text based on the topic provided by the researcher. Finally, all questionnaire score and writing score will tabulated and prepared for statistical analysis. Well, that is all for my presentation. I really hope this presentation will be helpful for everyone. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.